Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, y'all are having a wonderful day today. So, I thought that I would view this little video. This video is going to be by this one channel named DontesBoxingNation. For those of you that don't know who DontesBoxingNation is, DontesBoxingNation is a boxing channel that has been around for many, many years. And a very long time ago, I used to like Dante's content because I used to find him to be a decently logical person. But then, of course, when you go more into Dante's content, you know what he is about and what he represents. Dante, just like Aki TV, Boxing Ego, and a certain amount of these other channels, pretty much all the LDBC members and all the new media members, which is the new group that Dante's Boxing Nation has started. All that means is that they're pro-black. That's all that means. And a certain amount of people are not going to like that. Once again, this is not a pro-racial channel. This is not pro-racial for anybody. So it is what it is. Anyway, but when it comes down to it, apparently Freddie Roach recently said that he believes Anthony Joshua is a better boxer than Tyson Fury. And a lot of people would dispute that. Some people would actually say Anthony Joshua is a better boxer than Tyson Fury, but a lot more, especially at this time, would say that Tyson Fury is a better boxer than Anthony Joshua. I think you could dispute it either way. Now, personally, if I had to bet, I would probably bet on Tyson Fury to win the fight. But we'll see what happens. Anyways, it'll be interesting to hear what Dante has to say. Let's get into it.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So as Tyson gets closer and closer to getting out of his obligation to fight Deontay Wilder a third time and fighting Anthony Joshua instead.
Fighting, once again, do I believe that it is any longer an obligation? No, I don't. I personally believe that Deontay Wilder did let the contract expire. Now, most of these mainstream channels, unfortunately, because they are pro-black when it comes down to the overall, they're not going to say that. And I have certain people tell me, oh, well, Deontay Wilder is bringing Tyson Fury to court. Well, he's not really bringing him to court. He's bringing him to mediation, which is not something that Tyson Fury even has to show up for. So that doesn't tell me that Deontay Wilder has Tyson Fury contractually obligated to do anything. In my personal opinion, I don't think Deontay Wilder wants that fight as much as he's saying. But anyway.
Some of the most reputable, non-biased people like Freddie Roach. And please note, when I say non-biased, I mean he's not biased against Tyson Fury. So Freddie Roach has come out, and he said this, by the way, he said this before Anthony Joshua had his sensational knockout over Pulev. He said that Anthony Joshua is a better boxer than Tyson Fury, but Tyson Fury will not.
And let me tell you something. In some regards, Anthony Joshua is a better boxer than Tyson Fury. He does have sharper punches, and he is better on the inside. So you have a lot of these people that are predicting that Tyson Fury schools AJ or, beats him up. Don't underestimate Anthony Joshua. Anthony is a very decently talented fighter, very good fighter, very great fighter, very talented. And he is probably going to be the biggest challenge in Tyson Fury's career if Tyson Fury does end up facing him. Because not only does AJ have great athleticism with decent speed and great power, he does have decent boxing ability. And I do believe that Andrew Ruiz loss made him a better fighter. So it is what it is.
Knock him out. So he starts off talking about what he would like Tyson Fury to do in the fight. So he says, for this fight, I like to see him go out and pressure and batter Anthony Joshua. Pressure him early and beat him up. He won't do it. But I would encourage him to fight in his natural southpaw stance. He's a beast as a southpaw. Joshua's best chance to win is by using his boxing skills, since they are better than Tyson's. Anthony must dictate the pace and stay off the ropes.
I actually disagree. And Roach just says right there, for both distance will be important. I think Tyson wins this one by knockout. It's very possible that he wins it by knockout. Very, very possible. Let me tell you this. When it comes down to the overall, Anthony Joshua, in my opinion, is going to have to push Tyson Fury forward. I'm not saying here and there that you can't use your distance. But Tyson Fury, if you try to outbox him like that, dude, Tyson Fury is a better mover than Anthony Joshua. He is faster than Anthony Joshua. I believe he has longer reach than Anthony Joshua. He's just a little bit more slippery than Anthony Joshua. His jab is better than Anthony Joshua. I don't see how Anthony Joshua at a distance is going to be able to outbox Tyson Fury. Now, maybe it could work, but do I see it happening? No. I think he's going to have to pressure him a little bit more. Now, doing a little bit of both isn't a bad idea, but he's going to have to pressure Tyson Fury for a certain amount. He cannot beat Tyson Fury by just trying to stay in the background and just by trying to out-jab him. I don't think that's going to work. Now, that game plan maybe could work against Deontay Wilder, just because Deontay Wilder does not work very well or fight very well against people his own size. And on top of that, Joshua's head movement is getting a little bit better. He could potentially do that against the Deontay Wilder. But against the Tyson Fury, I don't see it happening.
This will be important. I think Tyson wins this one by knockout. End quote. Guys, this was so revealing to hear Freddie Roach say this. To hear Freddie Roach admit that Anthony Joshua is a better boxer than Tyson Fury, knowing that Tyson Fury is a pure boxer, it says a lot. You guys have to remember, this is someone who's pulling for Tyson Fury that said this. After all, remember, Freddie Roach has worked with Tyson Fury. I mean, it would be one thing if Freddie Roach said Anthony Joshua only has a puncher's chance in this fight. But it was the contrary. He said
Anthony Joshua is not Deontay Wilder. Anthony Joshua is a more skilled opponent than Deontay Wilder. And in some regards, he does have more skills than Tyson Fury. Now, does he overall have a greater skill set than Tyson Fury? I don't think I would say that. And I'm not going to say Anthony Joshua is the more skilled fighter. But Anthony Joshua, in some regards, does have more skills here and there. Now, that's not saying overall that he has more skills in general. But he is more skilled in certain areas. So Tyson Fury will have to watch out against Anthony Joshua.
Joshua's only chance is by using his boxing skills because they're better than Tyson Fury's. Great boxing skills is usually what wins fights. So in other words, it almost sounds like he's saying Tyson Fury is the one that only has a puncher's chance. I feel that was the best way for Freddie Roach to balance out what he said by saying that Anthony Joshua is the better boxer, but Tyson Fury will knock him out. But it's still kind of conflicting with what he said, because he says he wants Tyson Fury to walk him down and apply a lot of pressure, and then he says, but I don't think he'll do that. But then at the end he says,
I don't know if he will either. I think Tyson Fury thinks that's, I don't know if I would necessarily say that. Tyson Fury is pretty confident that he'll beat Anthony Joshua. And I believe that he is confident that he'll beat Anthony Joshua. And the reason why that is because it's just a style. The reason why he said Deontay Wilder is the biggest threat to him is because not necessarily that Deontay Wilder is the best opponent, but because of his one-shot knockout power. Anthony Joshua very clearly is more skilled and a better opponent than Deontay Wilder, in my opinion. But when it comes down to it, Anthony Joshua, I could very much see him being tentative in the fight and him trying to outbox Fury. And if he tries to do that, that is going to feed right into Tyson Fury's game plan. Because Tyson Fury will completely outbox Anthony Joshua if Anthony Joshua just tries to do that. But anyway.
Fury is going to get the knockout. So it sounds like he's basically once again saying this just to make sure he stays on Tyson Fury's good side. But he already said too much. He already spoke too much truth. I mean, when you compare Anthony Joshua to Tyson Fury when it comes to boxing skill, when I was watching Anthony Joshua box this past weekend, we seen him doing Floyd Mayweather type of pull right-hand counters. We seen him...
Well, I won't say that he was Floyd Mayweather-esque. I think that that's a little bit too far. But Anthony Joshua certainly put on one of the better performances of his career. And I've always said this about Anthony Joshua. He has very underrated counter-punching ability. So Tyson Fury better watch out, because Tyson Fury, he's not invulnerable to getting hurt. I've seen him hurt against cruiserweights. You know, you got some of these people that just watch Tyson Fury for one fight against the Deontay Wilder fight, and they're like, oh, no one can hurt him. No, people can hurt Tyson Fury. He's not just been hurt by Deontay Wilder. It is what it is.
setting up beautiful combinations up top by jabbing down to the body. We've seen head.
I agree. You know, I think his punch selection was very, very good in that fight. I think it was great even. It was a very great performance by Anthony Joshua.
Movement. We even seen him using angles like he was a featherweight, using angles and landing uppercuts. So I agree with Freddie Roach that Anthony Joshua appears to be the better boxer, has more boxing skills.
I'll say this. I think Tyson Fury still overall is the better boxer. But when it comes down to it, Anthony Joshua is more skilled than Tyson Fury in certain areas. I don't think he's the more skilled fighter overall. He still does not have the movements or the speed that Tyson Fury does. I don't think he necessarily has the footwork that Tyson Fury does, even though his footwork is not horrible, and many people have criticized it. But it is what it is, you know. I just see Tyson Fury being able to outmaneuver Anthony Joshua.
That doesn't guarantee he's going to win because this is boxing and it's the heavyweight division. But I do agree with what Freddie Roach said. A lot of people that are rooting for Tyson Fury, they feel that Anthony Joshua will be an easier fight for Fury than Deontay Wilder because Anthony Joshua got knocked out by Andy Ruiz. But if that's the way you see things, you could not be more wrong.
We'll see what happens. And it very well could be an easier fight for Tyson Fury just because, once again, it's not necessarily the fact that he got knocked out by Andy Ruiz to me. It's his style. Anthony Joshua is not a knockout hunter like a Deontay Wilder is. He's not a knockout. Well, knockout puncher would be the wrong thing to say. He can be a knockout puncher. He is a knockout puncher. He has that type of power, but he's not really looking for the knockout 24/7. And if he gets tentative in that fight, and if he tries to outbox Tyson, that's going to be very difficult for him to do. He's not as fast as Tyson. He does not have the reach that Tyson does, although it's, I shouldn't even bring that up because it's really not that much of a difference. But when it comes down to the overall, on top of that, Tyson Fury is just more maneuverable. He's faster than him. He's harder to hit than Anthony Joshua is. It is what it is. So I think that's why Tyson Fury says, well, this dude is going to feed right into my game plan. This dude, if he tries to outbox me, I'm going to kill him. And I think that's exactly what he's thinking. But maybe I'm wrong.
In fact, the Andy Ruiz fight, it made Anthony Joshua a better fighter.
In certain regards, it certainly did.
Made him a complete fighter. So although I'm looking forward to Deontay Wilder getting his justice in the ring with Tyson Fury a third time before an AJ fight, if Tyson does find a way around Deontay Wilder, I'm really looking forward to this Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury fight.
And you'll be praying that Anthony Joshua whoops Tyson Fury's ass. Which is so ironic because these motherfuckers used to hate Anthony Joshua. You remember that? You remember these LDBC guys calling Anthony Joshua a coward and a hype job when he lost to Andrew Ruiz? You remember that? Saying that he wasn't cut from the same cloth as Deontay Wilder, even though Deontay Wilder admitted blatant as day about a month ago that he's actually the one that avoided the fight. Anyway.
It should be a great matchup. I mean, don't get me wrong. Tyson Fury is a very good boxer himself, especially for how tall he is. But at the same time, I would have to give the edge to AJ when it comes to complete boxing skills and athleticism. Let's see what happens.
Well, he's a greater athlete than Tyson Fury, but skills-wise, I'd have to give that to Tyson Fury. But we'll see what happens.
In the near future. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
And that's really about it all I have for now as well. That's really about it for me. I just thought that I would review that to see overall what he had to say. Because he's in a very interesting position. Because he now has to root for a guy that he used to hate. But it is what it is. So it'll be very interesting. I hope the Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury fight happens. Hopefully sometime in 2021. Even if it's later on in 2021. Because from what I'm hearing now, he might fight Alexander Usyk, which is a very great fight. We'll see what happens. But Mr. Anthony Joshua overall, we'll see what happens with him. He will have to put pressure on Tyson Fury, in my opinion, if he wants to beat him. He cannot try to outbox him when it comes down to it, at least not the whole entire time. He's going to have to go to the body. He's going to have to try to get a little bit on the inside, and he's going to have to try to push him back. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, when it comes down to the overall, that's really about it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all later.